Yep.
All right. All right. So I just hit the go live.
All right, cool. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into the Green Zone, Week 2 of the NFL season, powered by the Sauce Network. I'm your host, Sean Redden, and AJ, aka the Prop Beaver, is with me producing again and going to add his insights as well where he sees fit. Camera
Yes.
shy though, so he's not on the show with me.
Yeah, I'm looking ugly these days. I'm getting in playoff shape.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so we're starting off Thursday night football. The Chargers at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are a 4-point favorite. Over under is 54.5. At 4, I have to bet the Chargers here. I mean, like, are we serious? I understand Keenan Allen's going to be missing from this Chargers offense. And a lot of people, I'm sure, from this network, if you just tuned into them, you're not familiar with my background. I've been hosting the Green Zone for a few years now. Obviously now first year under Kyle with the Sauce Network, but I also graduated from the NFL Scouting Academy. I'm a whore for premier route running, and I love Keenan Allen. I hate when he gets slighted in the top receiver conversations because he is a technician when it comes to running routes and getting open. But with this Chargers offense, I don't really care that he's not going to be there. They have Mike Williams, Palmer, Carter, Everett, Eckler, Kelly, maybe Isaiah Spiller in the backfield. So I don't really care that Keenan Allen's not going to be there. This Chargers offense with Justin Herbert has weapons galore, and I expect them to still be able to put up points versus this Chiefs defense that isn't very good. And the fact that this line is 4 is asinine to me. I have to bet the Chargers. I'm probably even going to sprinkle the money line as well. It's currently at plus 130. This line was 6 last year at Arrowhead, and the Chargers won outright in an amazing game in overtime. So I'm leaning the over, but I feel like everybody in the world is on the over. So I'm waiting to see the status of J.C. Jackson. What number would I like the Chiefs to comment said? It would have to be under a field goal for me, honestly. Like I said, I actually think the Chargers could win this game outright. So I'll gladly take the 4 points here in a game where it would have to be probably under a field goal for me to take the Chiefs.
Onto an absolute
and also probably
dime
real
of a
quick
game.
before we moved on.
Yeah.
I don't know if you wanted to share the prop bet that you had gave it out in the group chat, or are you saving that for?
Oh no, I mean I'll tell y'all. So Mike Williams is one of my favorite candidates for positive regression from a touchdown standpoint, and now you got no Keenan Allen for this game. He scored a touchdown his last 3 or 4 times he's went to Arrowhead, and he's gotten 2 touchdowns 2 of his last 4 times he went to Arrowhead. So I officially played Mike Williams TD at plus 155, but I'm also doing a light sprinkle on Mike Williams 2+ TDs at plus 1,000. We'll see how it goes, but yeah. So I thought I'd share that with y'all.
Yeah, I actually looked at it earlier too because I wanted to make note of it. To talk about it on the show. He's actually plus 1,100 right now on FanDuel to score the 2 touchdowns. So it even went up a little bit.
I'll take it, man. I don't know what they're saying. I see a beast.
All right. Next game up is the Jets at the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns are a 5.5 point favorite with the over under at 40. I got to be honest here. At 6.5, I was all over the Jets. A lot of people are going to look at that box score versus the Ravens and feel like the Ravens dominated them. But the Ravens finished the game with 5 yards per play, and the Jets finished with 4.8. Like, that game was actually a lot. And honestly, I mean, the push off where Kyle Fuller got hurt took away the Jets touchdown. And I feel like most of that game, like the expected win percentage, I feel like the Jets, honestly, if they played that game 10 times, the Jets probably cover at least 7 times. That was actually a closer game than a lot of people are anticipating. The Jets really stifled the Ravens' running game. The Ravens pulled away late, obviously. That big touchdown pass to Rashad Bateman kind of put the game away. The Jets were playing catch-up after that. It kind of changed how they were approaching the game schematically. But 6.5 was way too much here. And the Cleveland Browns barely escaped Carolina with a win. It was one of the ugliest games of the Sunday slate. But at 5.5 here, I really don't know which way I'm going to go. I'm probably going to monitor this throughout the week and see how the line moves. See if we get a 6 again, where I'll jump back in on the Jets. But At 5.5, it's a dead number. I can't give you a pick either way.
Fair. It's a very ugly game. I like the under. I'm gonna live, breathe, and sleep that under.
There's no argument I could make for the over, so the
Yeah.
under might be the play in that one. Colts at the Jaguars. The Colts are a 4-point favorite with the over under at 46.5. Two bets in this one that I have a pretty good feeling about. The Colts -4 is probably my favorite bet of the week. Not the week, of Sunday at least, because there's a couple college games I probably like more than this. But the Colts -4 is probably my favorite bet of Sunday. I understand their struggles historically in Jacksonville. I believe you actually had the stat, Beaver. It was, 7 straight they lost in Jacksonville?
Yes, I believe it's 7 straight, and the average margin of victory for the Jags is 14.8 points. It's not even that they're just beating the Colts, they're beating the life out of them.
And last year, that loss came with the playoffs on the line in the last week of the season. But I'm still backing the Colts here. I think they look, last week kind of went exactly how I expected to look, sucking home openers or just season openers in general. But the Jaguars look like the same old Jaguars here. I think this number is short. Carson Wentz was slinging the ball over the field versus the Jaguars. Beaver doesn't like the people, so thanks for the prop. You're welcome, Toast. I had to force it out of him. But the Colts -4 here. Carson Wentz slaying the ball all over the field versus this Jaguars secondary last week. I expect Matt Ryan to be even more efficient. Obviously, Wentz turned the ball over twice, but he did throw 4 touchdowns. But the Jaguars just look sloppy again. The offense just can't seem to sustain drives. Like, they did hit a bunch of explosive plays, honestly, but I can't count on their offense to be efficient for the whole game. I really like the Colts here at a short number, but then also, like I said, this Jaguars defense stinks. Wentz was shredding them last week, and I think the Colts can get to the high 20s here, and if they do that, I think we're going to see an over in this game as well. Colts -4 is my favorite play, but the over 46.5 would be a lean as well. The only thing holding me back would be the Colts sucking and not scoring in overtime. Last week, I'm kind of jaded off that. Them and the Texans. All I needed was 1 score in OT, and we cashed that over.
Yeah, sad times, but we're on to this week. We'll get them. We'll get those bastards.
All right, next game up is the Dolphins at the Ravens. The Ravens are a 3.5-point favorite, over under 44.5. I got it. I think I'm leaning Baltimore here I'm leaning Miami here plus the 3.5. Originally, I was thinking the Ravens, but the more I looked into this game, the more I like the Dolphins. Again, it's going to show like I talked about this when I just went over the Jets game. The box score is going to show that Ravens dominated the Jets, but that wasn't the case. And now you're telling me this Ravens secondary that is going to be missing, obviously, Kyle Fuller and Marcus Peters might not be back either for this secondary. I got to take the Dolphins here with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. They're going to be able to score, I believe, on this Baltimore defense. And this Dolphins defense, I was actually on the Patriots last week because I wasn't a believer in this Dolphins defense without Brian Flores. I thought he was a big part of why they looked as good as they did the past few years. But they looked phenomenal last week versus this Patriots offense. Now, was that more so the Patriots offense being that bad with Joe Judge and Matt Patricia being the offensive guys now? Or was that this Dolphins defense really just continuing what they've done the last few years and being an elite top 10 level defense? 3.5 here is too much. If it was lower, maybe I think about the Ravens, but you're going to give me over a field goal in a game where I think these two teams are kind of even talent wise. I'll take it all day. Give me the Dolphins plus 3.5. Buccaneers at the Saints. Now, this is a game I'm going back and forth. I haven't made a final decision here, but at 2.5, I think I have to play the Buccaneers. I understand their history at New Orleans in the regular season and just versus Saints in general in the regular season. It's not good, especially since Tom Brady got there. But this Saints defense was giving up explosive passing plays downfield to this Falcons offense and Marcus Mariota. what is Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Russell Gage, and Julio Jones going to do to this Saints team if Marcus Mariota was able to get explosive plays off them? And I don't know if you guys watched the Sunday night game, but this Buccaneers defense is elite. Jameis Winston obviously hurt last week. Don't know if he's going to be 100% this week or not. I'm sorry. I know the trends. I haven't pulled the trigger on a decision yet in this game, but it would be the Bucs minus 2.5 for me right now. I think I have to play it at this number. I'm low-key trying to talk myself out of it, but I think I have to. Patriots at the Steelers. The Patriots are a 2-point favorite with the over-under at 40. Steelers coming off a huge win, obviously, versus the Bengals. If you listen to the show on Sunday, all of us were on the Steelers last week. Obviously, we said pump the brakes on the Bengals. They finished 10-7. Obviously, we're a little overrated coming into this season. And people just expected them to continue that Super Bowl run. But in reality, they just caught lightning in the bottle. Let's not saying they're a bad team, but let's pump the brakes on how elite the Bengals are. And the Patriots, I was on last week. Fuck them. That was one of my losses. But this number is, I feel like, kind of reactionary. Patriots 2-point favorites on the road here. Steelers obviously missing Defensive Player of the Year and TJ Watt. Too many Watts in the NFL right now. But TJ Watt, give me the Patriots laying the 2 here. I know a lot of people might be scared off of that because of how good the Steelers defense looked, but I'm actually saying they didn't look that good. If you look at statistical numbers for the Bengals offense, they were putting up points and yardage all over the Steelers defense. They did get 4 interceptions and a fumble, however. But were they just opportunistic at getting turnovers, or were they actually getting defensive stops here? I think it's the latter. I'm sorry, I think it's not the latter. I think they got turnovers. We're fortunate to get the turnovers, but their defense actually was not getting off the field like that on actual defensive stops. And then a lot of people are going to be like, well, Mac Jones is having an MRI on his back. He might be hurt. May not be 100%. This line, the fact that the Patriots are a 2-point road favorite, tells me Mac Jones is playing and going to be 100%, if not very close to 100%. I'm laying the 2 here with the Patriots. I think everybody's going to overreact and love the Steelers in this spot. Give me New England minus 2. Panthers at the Giants. The Giants are a 2-point favorite. I don't know how many times I've said that since I started the Green Zone, that they're favorite, but the over-under is 43.5. The Giants are actually over 500 for the first time since 2016. Which is an asinine stat. I know they've been bad, but that's ridiculous that it's been that long since they were even just above 500. All that being said, I don't think the Giants looked spectacular last week. I think we got confirmation on what a lot of us thought this offseason. The Titans stink. And they were very fortunate to come back. Brian Big Balls Dabble, I gotta give him a hand. Going for that 2-point conversion, not a lot of people would have done that in your first head coaching start, but kudos to him for having the balls to do it and pulling it off, and the Giants got a win over the Titans. Flip side, Panthers lost on an absolute heartbreaker, long shot field goal to rookie Cade York from the Browns. That being said, I think this Panthers offense is going to be able to move the ball at will versus this Giants defense. Baker Mayfield, I thought, actually looked pretty good versus the Browns last week once he got out of his early funk, where I felt like he was maybe a little too emotional to get going in that game. And Christian McCaffrey should be able to gash this Giants D-line and linebackers, obviously. I think you're seeing a big game in a Christian McCaffrey this week. And this Carolina defense is slept on, in my opinion. And the Giants obviously put up actually 6.8 yards per play and 21 points. But this Titans defense is dreadful. And they were missing Harold Landry. Give me this young Panthers defense plus the point. I'm not even taking the points, honestly. Give me the Panthers money line plus 110. They should be favored in this game.
Dude, if they give Christian McCaffrey the ball just 6 times again, I'm actually going to have to visit the Panthers practice facility and smack McAdoo up. Last week was ridiculous. Cost me gazillions.
Yeah, I don't know if that was more so like trying to put the game in Baker's hands because he was playing the Browns, or just I feel like I don't know, maybe they saw it to where they felt like they couldn't run on the Browns D line, but he's your best player by a landslide.
Yeah, I just didn't think that throwing at Newsome and Ward with Jadavion and Garrett pass rushing you was the best route offensively. Yet they stuck to 100%. That the entire game. It was something else. Gotta love them Panthers.
Austin Campbell chiming in that he's high as hell. Put your left nut on the Patriots. Last week on the Sunday show, I gave out a kidney, but I don't think I'm willing to risk either of my nuts. So
not today.
But
not
if I am on the Patriots with you, I don't like them that much. Yeah, I'd rather lose a kidney than a nut. But the Commanders at the Lions here. Detroit is -1.5 with the over under at 48.5. I gotta be completely honest here. I don't love a side. Detroit historically has been atrocious in this spot as a small favorite or even just a small dog. Typically they have to cover like a touchdown, like 6 to 10 points. They're extremely valuable, but in this type of spot, especially last year's team, if they were just a small dog, they typically lost the game by like 3 scores. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to overlook that trend here with this line. I'm going to have to see it to believe it. And I don't love this Washington team either. Yeah, they got the win. Wentz looked pretty good outside of the 2 turnovers, but I didn't see a lot of good. I mean, the Jaguars dropped a shit ton of passes, weren't converting in the red zone, and I don't know if it was also Washington looking good or just the Jaguars looking like the Jaguars. So I don't love a side in this game, but what I do really like in this game is the over 48.5. Obviously the Lions just gave up 31 points to the Eagles offense. One was the pick 6, so you can't count that as a 38 on the Lions defense. And this Washington team, like I just talked about, gave up explosive plays in the passing game to this Jaguars team. And I think Wentz is a gunslinger. He's going to air it out. Obviously has scary Terry McLaurin, and then the rookie Jahan Dotson looked really good in his debut. Antonio Gibson looked very good as a pass catcher out of the backfield as well. I can't get to a side here, but I think we're going to see a ton of points in this one. Seattle on the road at the 49ers. The 49ers are a 9.5-point favorite with the over under at 41.5. I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but I think if I do play a side in this game, it's going to be the 49ers minus the 9.5. I really would love to see Kittle playing in this game, or even if he's out, the spread come down a little bit. 9.5 without Kittle is a little high for me. I understand how the 49ers looked last week, but that was in a freaking monsoon. Trey Lance is going to air that hoe out this week in sunny California. I would lay the 9.5 with the 49ers, and I love it because everybody is going to overreact to the Seahawks beating the Broncos last week and forget about the Broncos' 2 fumbles into the end zone, their coach having an absolute aneurysm on the final drive, not using any timeouts, then taking their $240 million kicker off the field and trying a $240 million quarterback off the field, and then trying a 64-yarder with Brandon McManus, who has literally never made a kick past 52 yards in his career. Asinine. Coaching advantage. Give me the 49ers here, minus the 9.5. Trey Lance airs that hoe out. Quote of the week.
Dude, I'm all over that with you. Trey Lance is letting the chopper saying Brandon Ayuk's finally going to have that big game. And, dude, a matchup I just think that we should isolate is the fact that the Seattle Seahawks are going to have 2 rookie tackles. Cross, who's a first-rounder, and then the other kid who's, like, I believe a 5th-rounder, going against Armstead and Bosa. And that's just... oh, my Lord. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I feel like the best thing in this game for us was the Seahawks winning Monday night.
Yeah, it was. It was great. Much appreciated.
It's going to be overreaction galore. Now, here's another game. I'm probably not going to have a bet on this one. You'll have to check back to the app or the site Sunday to see if this is going to make my final ticket. The Rams are nothing most likely for me, but 10.5 is so much in an NFL game. With a team who looked lackluster to open the season in this Rams offense, and the 49ers. Falcons actually looked pretty good versus a Saints defense that is suspected to be elite. this year, obviously under head coach Dennis Allen. He's a defensive guy. They brought in the Honey Badger. They brought in Marcus May, and they returned a lot of talent on this defense. And Atlanta was able to put up points and probably should have won that game versus the Saints here. It would be Rams or nothing for me, but I got to be honest, I don't feel strongly either way. 10.5 is just a lot. But I also could see them losing by 20, so I ain't backing the Falcons either. Cardinals at the Raiders. The Raiders are a 5.5 point favorite with the over-under at 51.5. Again, this is another game that I'm not touching right now. This is in that spot where it's kind of a dead number. Obviously, the key numbers are 3 and 7 in an NFL game. 5.5 is such a dead number. I'm hoping that Vegas money comes in as the week goes on and this spread gets pushed out to 6.5 here. Then I will come back in and buy in on the Cardinals, and I may even sprinkle the money line with the Cardinals. I don't think this spread is too crazy. Vegas told you how they feel about the Cardinals last week. They were more than a touchdown dog versus the Kansas City Chiefs at home. So now they're on the road 5.5. I may sprinkle the money line here, but I'm waiting and hoping to get a 6 or 6.5 in this game. You have any thoughts on this current number?
No, that game actually is appalling to me. I don't. I'm not gonna cap that. I don't even know. That game's just so bad. That's a laptop game. Don't care.
All right, another one here. 10 points. Houston at the Broncos. The Broncos are a 10-point favorite with the over-under at 45 here. I don't know what to do. It would be Broncos or nothing for me. I like the Texans last week catching the points because it's a division game. It's different when it's a division dog. Now going to Denver, going to have to play in that elevation. I would probably lay the 10 with the Broncos. Honestly, I think I just put myself into it. It's probably going to make the final ticket. I would lay the 10 here with Denver versus this Houston Texans team. Big bounce back week, and everybody's going to be sour on the Broncos. It's Broncos or nothing. I'll probably lay the 10, but we'll see if I can get a 9 or 9.5 here.
Game of the week.
Two shitty quarterbacks. No, I'm just kidding. But it's the Bengals at the Cowboys. The Bengals are a 7.5 point favorite with the over-under at 41.5. I expected this game to be around 7 once Dak was ruled out. 7.5, so we're slightly above that. But this Dallas offense was absolutely abysmal with Dak Prescott. So now you're putting in Cooper Rush. Can't be an upgrade, obviously. So I don't know how the Cowboys team puts up points, to be completely honest with you. And I understand how good the Cowboys defense is overall. Micah Parsons was harassing Tom Brady on Sunday night. But I just think this Bengals offense is going to be able to put up points. What's Jamar Chase going to do to Trayvon Diggs? I know a lot of casuals are fooled into thinking Trayvon Diggs is an elite shutdown corner, but he is barbecue chicken out there. He got a shit ton of interceptions, but he also allowed the most yards in coverage of any corner in the NFL. What is Jamar Chase going to do to him on Sunday? And then also have Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon, Hayden Hurst at tight end. This Bengals offense has as much weapons, if not more, than the Buccaneers, who obviously lost Chris Godwin early in that game. 7.5 here is a lot, especially on the road. But I would never bet the Cowboys in this spot. I think they're going to be able to put up points, and this Cowboys team isn't going to be able to keep pace. Give me the Bengals minus 7.5. Bears at the Packers. The Packers are a 10-point favorite with the over-under at 42.5. I actually caught a 9.5 earlier today and already bet it with the Packers. Anything under 10, I'm laying it here with Green Bay. Fool's gold in the Bears. Like I said, throw out anything that happened in that game last week. It was an absolute torrential downpour. You couldn't do anything. Obviously, Justin Fields hit a couple passes, but I mean, the dudes were wide open. It's hard to judge anything based off that game. And last year, what happened to this Packers team? They got their doors blown off by the Saints week 1, and then just came back and ended up in the NFC Championship game. I'm sorry, not the NFC Championship game. Came back and made a deep playoff run. Again, won the NFC North. I don't think they're going to win the NFC North this year, but I feel like people are going to be over exaggerating how bad this Packers team looked. Christian Watson should have scored on the first play of the game, but he dropped the pass. I expect the jitters to be gone for the rookie. And Aaron Rodgers owns the Chicago Bears historically. Anything under 10 would be a play for me on the Packers here, but don't love it. Titans at the Bills. This is easy for me. I've talked the whole show about how I hate laying double digits in this game. I am all over the Bills. Already bet it for multiple units. Bills minus 10 here. Again, one of my favorite bets of the week. The Titans are bad. I thought they were going to be bad. Then I watched them play week 1 versus Giants. And now I know they're going to be bad. This Bills team is just phenomenal in every aspect of the game. I think their running backs, Josh Allen, obviously can have a great game. Diggs, Gabriel Davis. There's just so many weapons. Isaiah McKenzie and Jamison Crowder in the slot. And this Titans offense is not going to have an answer to keep up with them. This Bills defense is almost as elite as the offense. Absolutely shut down the Rams in the opening game. And like I said earlier when we mentioned the Giants game, this Giants team put up 21 points and 6.8 yards per play versus this Titans defense. What the hell are the Bills going to do to this defense? Easily here, laying the double digits. Bills minus 10.
I think I'd lay 20 and wouldn't even think twice about it. The Titans.
That's what I'm saying. I think realistically, the game, it would have to be like 14 for me to even consider the Titans.
They're so,
and obviously
so bad.
It's never going to get there.
So one-dimensional. Like, that's just not going to work against Buffalo. Yeah. Much agreed.
Right,
much
exactly.
Obliged. Yeah.
Now, the second Monday night game, the Vikings at the Eagles. The Eagles are a 2-point favorite with the over-under at 51. Wow. Eagles offense looked awesome versus it was the Lions, though. Vikings offense looked phenomenal. It was the Packers D, which is obviously better than the Detroit Lions, but they looked ridiculous. Kevin O'Connell's offense to Mike Zimmer's, like we talked about last week on the show, is going to look night and day better. Kevin O'Connell is so good at scheming guys open. He had Justin Jefferson lined up on a linebacker or defensive end or safety, multiple times during that game. How as a defensive coordinator do you let that happen? He's probably the best receiver in the NFL, if not top 3. How do you let that happen? I do think this Eagles secondary matches up better with this Vikings team than the Packers do, because outside of Jair Alexander, I'm not a believer in this Packers D, especially in the secondary. And I mentioned that last week. But that being said, I don't love this Eagles defense either. You gave up 35 points to the Detroit freaking Lions and Jared Goff. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I was in a house watching the Eagles game. Obviously, I'm an Eagles fan. I was in Philly at my girlfriend's grandfather's house, loaded with Eagles fans. Everybody's celebrating and cheering, and I'm literally throwing a tantrum because I'm like, they look like shit and got backdoored and didn't cover. I even bet it early and got 3.5. And I still didn't get the cover.
I mean, the Eagles are a good team, but I don't know if they're a great team yet if they're not covering week 1 against the Lions.
Exactly. But with all that being said, I'm laying the 2 here with the Eagles at home. And this is purely a fade of Kirk Cousins in primetime. If you remember dating back last year, Cooper Rush came in for the Cowboys, started the game on the road in Minnesota, and not only covered the +6, but won the game outright over this Vikings team. You just can't argue Kirk Cousins does not get it done in time. I know that is your boy, AJ, and I think he's overhated on as well. But Kirk Cousins is 8-19 in his career in primetime games, 2-9 on Monday Night Football in his career. I'm sorry, that is trends and numbers that I just can't ignore. Give me the Eagles -2 here. Anytime Kirk Cousins is playing at night, auto fade for me.
Fade Kirk. My boy gonna make you pay. Fade Kirk. Justin Jefferson gonna be doing the gritty on your grave.
I like the Vikings. I'm gonna be betting on this Vikings team a lot, unless they play Sunday or Monday Night Football.
All right, fair.
But I have to. And now, lastly, before we get out of here, I normally do it before the show. If you listen to the Green Zone in the past, it became a favorite with a bunch of my listeners. We're gonna recap bad beats from last week. And we had a pretty good week in the NFL last week. I didn't lose a lot, to be honest. but there are a couple games that stand out. The Colts and the Texans. You fucking crumbs. All you had to do was score 45.5 points, and we cashed that over. What do? You go to overtime, tied at 20, just needing a score. I'm feeling so good about this bet. You play the entire overtime period, and neither one of you even kicks a goddamn field goal. Terrible. You're both fucking crumbs. And then the Jaguars, +3, at the Washington Commanders, winning early, had the game. Then Travis Etienne wants to drop every ball thrown his way. Etienne and the Jags, you're fucking crumbs. Turnovers in the red zone, can't finish drives. Gifted 2 turnovers by Carson Wentz, can't capitalize. Don't cover the +3. Jacksonville Jaguars, week 1. You are fucking crumbs. But with all that being said, nobody forced me to bet on the Colts and Texans over. Nobody forced me to take the Jaguars and Doug Peterson's debut +3. So it's not on them. It's on me. And the biggest fucking crumb in week 1 of the NFL is me, Sean Redden.
Beautiful. That was beautifully put. Now everybody knows who the biggest crumbs are.
And hopefully we just get to skip that segment all around next week, so we won't have any bad beats.
Yeah, that'd be beautiful. That's the goal.
Exactly. I know people like the segment in the past, but realistically, I hope I don't ever have to do it.
As few crumbs as possible.
Exactly. But yeah, that's all we have this week. Obviously, it's only Wednesday, so I'm sorry I only give out leans for the most part. There's a couple games I love. As the season goes on, we will have more bets most likely. But numbers change, more info comes out. But yeah, the picks will be on the Sunday show. Same channel with me, Kyle, and the Prop Beaver. And then also, obviously, IP bets and best bets on the final ticket as well on the Sauce Network app and the KyleKerms.com. So, Beaver, I appreciate you producing as always, and thank everybody for tuning in. And